Do you know what animal cells are? Animal cells are eukaryotic, which means they have a nucleus, and are the tiny building blocks of life that make up your body and the bodies of other animals. It has a thin, outer layer called the plasma membrane made up of 2 layers of molecules with a head that likes water and a tail that hates it. The membrane also controls what goes in and out of the cell and contains other molecules that help the cell communicate and transport things. The cell also has a jelly-like substance called the cytoplasm, which contains many tiny structures with specific functions called organelles. This is where most of the activities of the cell will happen. Within the cytoplasm, one of the most important organelles found there is the nucleus, which is like the brain of the cell. The nucleus stores the cell's DNA, which is the code that tells the cell what to do and how to grow. It is surrounded by a double layer of membrane with holes that allow things to pass in and out of the nucleus called nuclear pores. The nucleus also makes messenger RNA or mRNA, which are copies of its DNA. They carry the instructions for making proteins, the building blocks of life, and leave the nucleus through the nuclear pores. Afterwards, they head towards the cytoplasm, where the ribosomes can be found. The ribosomes are like factories that make proteins using the mRNA as a guide and can be found floating freely in the cytoplasm or attached to another organelle called the endoplasmic reticulum. In addition, the endoplasmic reticulum, or ER for short, is a network of tubes and sacs that extends from the nucleus and has 2 types, rough ER and smooth ER. The rough ER looks bumpy due to the ribosomes on its surface and is where the proteins made by the ribosomes are stored and modified. On the other hand, the smooth ER lacks ribosomes, which makes it look smooth, and is also where the cell makes other molecules, such as fats and oils called lipids. The ER then sends the proteins and other molecules to the post office of the cell called the Golgi apparatus. Moreover, the Golgi apparatus receives the molecules from the ER, sorts them, packages them into small bubbles called vesicles, and sends them to their destinations. The vesicles that it makes can be used for exocytosis, which is the process that carries molecules that will be released from the cell like hormones or enzymes, while others are used for lysosomes, which contain enzymes that break down the molecules that the cell does not need or that are harmful, such as bacteria or viruses. The lysosomes also act like the garbage disposals of the cell. Additionally, some vesicles can also be used for the power plants of the cell called mitochondria. They break down a type of sugar called glucose and oxygen to create energy that is later stored in a molecule called ATP, which is used by the cell for all of its activities. The mitochondria, which is inherited from the mother, have their own DNA that is different from the DNA in the nucleus, making them very special organelles. The cell also has a cytoskeleton made up of 3 types of protein fibers, microtubules, microfilaments, and intermediate filaments. The cytoskeleton also serves as the skeleton and the muscles of the cell, gives the cell shape and support, helps the cell move and divide, and helps the cell transport things inside.